Oh, hello there. My name is Ariz, and I want to tell you another lecture about the evolution of computers. So, the computer's evolution. The computer evolution is more like ours. In a few ways, it's more like ours. The humans evolution is very like so. Anyway, the computer birth was when the abacus was developed. It was used. It had a series of beads, and it could be held with a wooden frame. It had wires inside it, which screwed inside it, with beads attached to it also. The user would move the beads to calculate any math problem, but the abacus could only do simple math equations like for example, addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. That's all it could do. So the next calculating device. This is a picture of the abacus too. It is just like this, 10 beads here, 10 beads, and the user would move these beads. That's how it was. And so the next calculating device was invented by in 1616. No, it was it was invented by Sir John Napier, and the device was called Napier's bones. It was just in some numbers. It was used to find the square root of numbers, and it was called Napier's bones because it was sometimes carved on strips of bone, and also on strips of wood. So they could find the square root of numbers and also the simple equations. And the invented in 1616 by Louis Pascal. The device was called the Pascal line. It was the first mechanical calculator, and it could also perform simple math equation, but it also had the ability to add up to hundreds, thousands, and stuff. So the Pascal line had a series of wheels also, which were actually dials that spokes, and a few card-like things. So it was the first mechanical calculator because this is the first one that actually could do something. And so first the user would take a thin metal rod and would put it through the spokes of the wheel, turn it around, and then there would be numbers that would then appear, and they would then move on a scale from 0 to 9. That's how the Pascal line worked. And then the first generation computers had the character. The examples of them are like Mark 1, EDVAC, ENIAC, and so on. And some of the first generation computers used vacuum tubes. They used to glow brightly, and they were also called the vacuum tubes. They would glow brightly when given energy. The vacuum tubes were put inside of them. Oh no, the first generation computers, the first one, Mark 1, they were used to. First, they were just used to launch bombs and missiles more accurately during wars. Then their services were no longer needed. And they were so big. They would be like how can I say this? 800 kilometers long and so big. I just can't tell you. Their vacuum tubes were like 85 or so big. They were just really big, but they were also very slow. And where would they could never ever be kept in any home. And who would ever who would ever build a home that was 800 kilometers long, huh? So the special laboratories were built to hold it. And also there used to be manual wiring for each task. So each task that somebody had to do something, and they were very slow. They could took like how can I say 3 to 5 seconds in a calculation. And they also consumed a lot of power, and they were also very expensive. So their main component was the vacuum tube. I'm showing you again. And so the next generation computer is called second generation computer. They were a little smaller than the first generation computers. like they were like IBM, and 1401, and so and there were many more, and they were smaller and they were very cheap. They were cheaper than the first generation computers too, and their main component was this. It's called the transistor. The transistor was their main, and they also had the main components called the main component of modern day computer: input, output devices, memory, storage, and stuff. And I forgot to tell you, there was also two more calculating devices invented by Charles Babbage, called difference engine and analytical engine. They were steam powered, and they could also do other complex math equations. And the third generation computers, they were also much smaller, cheaper. That's how all the computers evolved. They got smaller, they got faster, and they got cheaper. And their power consumption got lower and lower. And their main component was this. It's called a microprocessor, also known. No. It's called a chip, as it's popularly known. That's how they was used. And a fourth generation computer, then they were like a 1980. They're in 1979 or so, like something like that. And and to present day, like palm tops, laptops, and PCs, like some people have at home. And their main component was this microprocessor, and they were much more complex. They were very diligent, and they could work at the same speed, but they could have large memory storage. They were wonderful. But there's one teensy weensy common drawback. They can't think for themselves, and sometimes in unexpected times they could just give you an incorrect answer, and they always need another command to do their job. It's not like they could do you just say, okay, do 2 plus 2. Then they're not doing something like that. You need to always have to give them commands to do it. So that's how they worked. So also their drawback was also called, they lacked artificial intelligence. They were being developed now. So that's how the so-called fifth generation computers got into use. They were like from the Cray 1 series and Bluefish. They existed from 1989 to the future. They are also called supercomputers. They're supposed to be like tiny, almost probably this much, or maybe bigger, and they were very complex, and they could do complex math equations and everything they can do. And also they don't need anything to work with, and they're it's probably like you say, okay, open a website on open a video on the benefits of beetroot, for example. So that's how they would do it. That's how the future may hold. Thank you.